Hello, everyone. Here I am again today. Um, oh, do I need to turn it this way or that way? Nope, back this way. Whatever. I'm not zoomed in all the way. Let me go back to here. Closing this. I still need Jeff to look at my computer. Um, so because it keeps saying there's, oh, I don't have the microphone. It keeps saying that my computer's not optimized for going live. Don't know if anybody has commented because it's not showing me any comments. I want to see comments. I want to see comments. I don't know if anybody's commenting. Um, so I'll try and go on my other. That's gonna suck if I can't see comments over here now on this one. Hold on. Anyone here? Ha! Okay, after I typed that, then Sherry popped up saying hi, Jax. So I can see it over here, so I'll be able to use my second page for, thank you, Christopher, for reading any posts if need be. Today has been a smurfing crazy day. I have been sent so many screenshots of posts that Carla has made, Earl has made, Kayla, even, and here comes another one, even Carla's daughter Danielle is commenting. Christopher, can you make a post on Stephen Avery project and direct people over here? Because I figured it is better to keep it over in here right now, since this is real gossip that we're about to get into. Um, so not to put it on Stephen Avery project. And thank you for the people who are sending me screenshots currently that I haven't looked at and haven't responded to you. All right, so I've been trying to keep up with all this today, and it's been really crazy. Jeff is downstairs doing water changes on his bazillions of fish tanks, and it's raining outside. I don't usually go live on weekends, but so much is going on that it's like, all right, I'm going to jump in here. Hello, Debbie. Debbie, and you can comment in here, right? Are you one of the Debbies that always has trouble commenting when I'm in gossip? I don't know. I'm technologically challenged. Oh, and I forgot to say at the beginning, I am Jax West, no relation to the Avery family. All right. Let's get into the Bull Smurf. Feel free to fire away any questions you have on any history of things that have gone on. Ask anything. If I don't answer your question, you can ask it again in case I missed what you said. All right. And I'm just going to be winging it, and that I get distracted and go down different avenues as things pop into my little head. Let's go. They put Dolores in a home. Yay, Debbie. Um it was January that Earl had posted about Dolores being in a home. I do not know if she was lobster, Corey. um, so I do not know exactly when Dolores went into the home. The home that Dolores was put in was one that Kayla who goes by the screen name K Marie. So when you see K Marie in these nasty posts she's making today about Steven in the family fan group, where she's saying Steven is guilty and a raper and all this bull smurf. So K Marie is Kayla. Kayla is Earl's daughter. Kayla is who you see in Making a Murderer, where she had gone and said that Brendan was crying and had talked to her about, losing weight, and it was because of what he and Steven did, and he saw toes in the fire and all that. And then when Kayla had to testify, she took it all back and said she lied. So that's the person who today is calling Steven a liar. That's the person right there. All right. Before Dolores went into a home, Steven was paying Kayla to take care of Dolores. So, like, hey, Rebecca and Mary. So, when I tell people of putting money in Steven's commissary, he can send it wherever he wants. So he has given Kayla money. He has sent money to Dolores. Carla has asked him for money because she needed new tires. All right. So just because the money goes towards the prison doesn't mean it can't go back out. All right. Steven, the person in prison, was paying Kayla to take care of Dolores. Then Kayla got fired. Why? Because they were saying money was stolen from Dolores. And they were saying Kayla did it. Now, in people I talked to today, hello, San, they are saying that Kayla did steal money from Dolores and that she had or has, I don't know, yep. You can't see anyone's comments you're saying, Rebecca, because I see yours. Um, that Kayla had or has a drug problem and was stealing money for that. True or not, I don't know. Alleged drug problem. That's what we need to say, right? Alleged. I also know Carla's brother, Christopher, who lives on the property, he was stealing from Dolores. And at that time, Dolores was in her early stages of dementia. Dementia is not something that just happens overnight. Hello, Laura. So, who all was stealing from Dolores? Don't know, except for it's this beloved family who thinks that they should have these Facebook groups and these rallies, and people should give them money to help make their lives easier. So Kayla was fired. Then eventually the family puts Dolores in a home. No complaints about that. Amy can't see anyone's comments either. Sometimes maybe you have to go out and go back in. Facebook is stupid. I'm sorry, people. I have never had a family member with dementia, at least that I know of. I do not know firsthand what it is like to take care of. I am not going to hate, thank you, Sand. I am not going to hate on somebody who knows that it's something that they can't handle and that somebody needs professional help. So Dolores was put in a home. It happened to be the home that Kayla worked at. And at the time when I found that out, I said, that made me feel good. Because regardless of what, hey, Court, regardless of what Kayla is doing now and how she's pissing me off, today, I know Kayla loves her grandma. And it comforted me to know no matter what state Dolores was in, that Kayla would be there to look out for her. Kayla adored her grandma, and her grandma adored Kayla. So, because Kayla is somebody who um is like ADD, very high energy, always moving, talking. And Dolores got a big kick out of that and would smile and giggle. And, so I was happy to know Kayla would be there to look out for her grandma. Well, then, next thing that happens is we're hearing that Kayla got a temporary restraining order against Stephen and is accusing Stephen of harassment. So what was happening there is Stephen is trying to call his mother at the home. Stephen doesn't get the phone whenever he wants it. And so there would be times that Stephen would try to call her, and for whatever reason, he was not able to talk to his mom. I don't know those details. Maybe that those blanks will be filled in for me at some point. But Stephen calling and not being able to talk to his mother upsets him, rightfully so. And he's getting more flustered and getting more worried of what is going on. Somebody that Stephen confides in then did a Yelp review of the home that Dolores was in, a negative review. And from this, Kayla is saying that it was affecting her job. The Stephen calling, the other person, um, whatever they were doing. Again, don't know all those full details. But the bottom line is, Stephen was being prevented at that point of talking to his mother. And he's gonna get upset about it. I don't see anything wrong with that. Kayla then says this is going to affect her job. She's going to lose her job. And that's why she was filing this restraining order, this temporary restraining order, saying that Stephen is harassing her. Natalie, I know, Natalie, you just sent me something, and I'm blabbing, talking here, so I haven't looked at it yet. So she files a temporary restraining order, says he's harassing her, and she's going for a permanent restraining order, which when it went to court, Kayla lost. Then Kayla, her sister Brittany, and Carla in the family fan group are smurfing about this whole thing. And they say in that, and we have the screenshots are posted here in gossip somewhere from when it was all happening. Use the search, you can find when we were all discussing it back when this happened, however many months ago that was. I believe it was Carla who stated they were going to remove Dolores from that home to another one and not tell Stephen where she was. So that was the last of where we had heard, or I had anyway, had heard of all of that. So now, come Thursday, I get a message on Stephen Avery Project of somebody saying that Dolores has died. Stephen is extremely upset and feels that his mother died of a broken heart because he wasn't able to talk to her. And the person said Stephen wanted me to post it on Stephen Avery Project. This is the first I had heard. You can comment, Bryce. I see you. Um, this is the first I had heard of Dolores passing. And I'm not in any of Carla's groups, and hi Carla, because she'll be watching this because she's got fake names and is in here. I don't have any fake sock accounts and go into all those other groups. People send me screenshots of anything of interest, but I don't go in there. I have no use for any of those groups. Yeah, Carla's in a bazillion groups and everybody adds her as an admin into their groups and all that. I have no need for that. I've got my own groups. Ta-da. So I am sent that information and that Stephen wants me to post it. The person who sent it to me, I don't know the person, but I know it is somebody who talks to Stephen. So I did post it on Stephen Avery Project, but I stated I do not know if it's true or not. Then I emailed Kathleen Zellner and I said, somebody messaged Stephen Avery Project telling us that Dolores Avery has died and Stephen wanted us to post it. Is this true? And then I was taking a beating at that time of all these people saying, how dare I post this if I don't know it's true? Um, don't smurf with Bryce. So I was getting quite beat up about it for a while. And then Kathleen Zellner tweeted that Dolores had passed. And then after she tweeted, she responded to my email and said, we've posted it. So now I know it's been confirmed and Dolores had passed. I have seen, was it Carla or Kayla or both, who have been smurfing about Kathleen going public with this before the family had been able to do anything and she had no right. Now, I don't know if this is me taking credit for something, not that it's credit, but it came to me. I was posting, I had posted already, and then I contacted Kathleen about it, and then Kathleen tweeted about it. So Kathleen, I've already put something out there on Stephen Avery Project, and Stephen Avery Project is bigger than Kathleen Zellner's Twitter. I'm not trying to sound like a smurf hole. It's just true. We have far and away bigger reach. It's something that I looked at one point, that Kathleen's post on Dolores's passing had 6,000 whatever on it. And on Stephen Avery Project, on the one that Christopher posted for Dolores, rest in peace, we had over 150,000. So if I have posted it on Stephen Avery Project, it's out there. So Kathleen's putting it out, and Kathleen is it's factual, period. Okay. So if they want to complain about somebody, don't complain about Kathleen, complain about me. I posted it, and I posted it because that other person sent it to me and said that Stephen asked me to. Stephen Avery Project is a support page for Stephen. I have told Stephen back from the first time I talked to him, anything he wants posted on Stephen Avery Project, I will do. He was dating that horrible Lynn. Hello, Jen. That horrible Lynn, and wanted stuff posted about her when they were together. I posted it. He asked for it to be posted. He asked for Carla to post it. Carla refused, and that pissed him off. And then he asked me to post it. So I posted it. No matter what I thought of that gold digger, Stephen's life. He can be with whatever woman he wants. And he wants that posted, I'll post it. So that's what happened with the announcement that Dolores had passed. Okay. So then I see that TMZ, I mean, all the press was covering Dolores's passing. It's a huge deal, you know, making a murderer and everything around it is a huge thing around the world, not just here in the States. I mean, and Dolores is somebody everybody fell in love with when you watch that. So it's no surprise that TMZ covered it. But in reading that, Earl talked to TMZ and said that Stephen hasn't talked to Dolores in 8 or 9 months, which sent me through the roof. So you're telling me the last year of her life, they didn't let Stephen talk to his mother at all? I don't know the level of her dementia. I don't know if she was cognizant at all. I don't know if she had any verbal skills. I don't know. You couldn't put Stephen on speakerphone once a week so he could speak to his mama? I was so incensed at that 8 to 9 months. Now, I have since learned today the family knew the last week of her life she was going to die. And that Alan had even gone to Chuck and Earl saying, your mama's going to die. You need to go see her, which they blew off and don't care. Nobody told Stephen. Nobody filled Stephen in that his mother was going to die that week. Nobody gave Stephen the opportunity to say his goodbye to his mother. He doesn't get to go to a service, closed family service, to say his goodbye, get any kind of closure. He gets nothing. They don't tell him. Nobody tells him that his mother is dying. Full disclosure, because I am always I'm going to tell you people how it is and blunt on everything. I am an open book. You can ask me any question. Stephen has not talked to me. I've said it's at least 2 years, maybe 3. I can't recall when. I know it was Father's Day was the last time I visited Stephen. And then he got upset with me. And when he got upset with me, it was Sandy made a post in her group saying Stephen wanted her to make this post that he's mad at me because I was talking Smurf about his mom, which is 100% not true. Dolores is the only Avery I will not talk Smurf about. What had happened at that time is something broke in Dolores's house. I can't remember if it was a refrigerator or a washer dryer. And Carla had one of her another infamous GoFundMe or PayPal or whatever it was. And I again was telling people Do not give money there. If you want money to go to Dolores, give it to her directly. Give it to Kathleen Zellner and say, hey, I want this money to go to Dolores. I am sure Kathleen would funnel that money to her or put it in Stephen's commissary. But the way it got twisted to him by Sandy or whomever, I've been blaming Sandy for this since she's the one that made that post, and I know other things she has done that's not on the up and up. Um, they told Stephen I was telling people not to help his mother. It's not what happened. And those of you who have been here for a while know that's not what happened. Because the thing I've been consistent on is you never give money to that family and you send it to Stephen or you send it to Kathleen. So I haven't talked to Stephen in a long time. It has not changed my advocating for Stephen. I am not here to make friends. I am not Carla Chase, who never had any friends her entire life, and this now made her popular. Anybody see Wicked? Popular. Um, no offense to any of y'all, but I'm not here to make you all my BFFs. Just not. So Steven doesn't care about me or doesn't like me. I don't care. He doesn't have to like me. I there's times I don't like me. So I get it. Don't punish me, Facebook. I'm a bitch. I admit it. No worries. Stephen is innocent. Stephen Avery Project, not started by me, started by Curtis Bussey, a supporter who ended up leaving over the harassment that Carla and others did to him, that he just couldn't deal with it anymore. He was married, had a young child at the time, and another child on the way. And we're not going to go down that rabbit hole of the things that they did to Curtis. Understand why he had to walk away from it all. Doesn't he believes that Stephen is innocent, but he just couldn't deal with it because they were going after his family. I'm an old broad. My son's an adult, and I don't really care. They've gone after me so many multiple ways over all these years. They've gone after my husband's business. They've they've reported me to the Illinois Attorney General's office. They've reported me to my local police department that I had to go into the police station and give a statement. They have reported me in Manitowoc for trespassing, or as Earl says, trespassing. I'm still here. And I will continue to be here till Stephen's free and even after that. Because Stephen is not the only wrongfully accused. There's so many more people that Stephen Avery Project focuses on Stephen, but once Stephen is free, we will turn and try and help other cases. But in the meantime, if you care about other cases, Justice with Jax is where you go. So when I get that message that Stephen wants me to make that post, my response to the person was, "Are you sure Stephen wants me to post something? We haven't talked in years." When that person responded to me, it wasn't until the next day. And they said that, I can't remember how they worded it, but they just said it would be better coming from Stephen, and that he was going to try and call me the next day, which would have been Saturday, yesterday. Which I laughed because yesterday I compared myself to like a teen girl, because I have my phone set so any phone number that I don't know goes directly to voicemail. My phone doesn't ring. I don't see anything. So I'm like, okay, I'll turn that off. And I even got stuck answering a telemarketing call yesterday. And I was carrying my phone with me wherever I went, doing laundry, carry the phone down with me. Didn't want to miss Steven's call, but he never ended up calling yesterday. Um, which is all fine. So then we see that Carla makes a post that anybody who wants to donate to the arrangements for Dolores can either send it to her PayPal account, which Dolores didn't have internet, so Dolores doesn't have a PayPal account. It would be something that Carla set up so that Carla has the access to, or to send it to the salvage yard for Alan, who Alan doesn't live at the salvage yard. He's in Crivets, and we've already had family members stealing money from Dolores. But okay, yeah, let's send it to the salvage yard to and have it go through other families' hands. And Carla also stated that there was no services, that there would be a private family thing, which I have since been given the details on the private family thing, but I'm not going to say what those are. Um, and she's being cremated. Why do you need money when there are no services and she's being cremated? Now, Carla's made these posts saying when her mother died, it was like $7,000. I don't know what the rate is. Um, but today I talked to someone. I don't know. I keep it confidential who I've talked to unless they want me to say who they are. All right. So I talked to someone today who talked to Stephen today, and Stephen told them that he wanted me to make the post, do a video saying that no money is to go to his family for Dolores, that Alan paid for not just Dolores, but his own um um whatever they're both of them were having done upon their death years ago, that it's all paid for and done and handled, and that so none of them, no money is needed for that. And that Stephen also wanted people to know that he didn't want anybody buying anything that has his name on it. And I was also told today that what Stephen had said to this person is, I believe the wording was, he doesn't care for me, meaning he doesn't like me. Now, if he doesn't, does he just not like me because of who I am, which is understandable because I know I've got people who like me and people who don't? Or is it lies he's been told by people? Because I know people have told him like that I'm making money off of his name. I so am not making any money off of Steven's name. Absolutely is not happening. Um, but either way, Steven says he doesn't like me. But he knows Stephen Avery Project has a big following. So he was asking for Stephen Avery Project to put that information out. Told you before, Stephen Avery Project is a support page for Stephen. People will ask, what about Brendan? Stephen Avery Project is about Stephen. Long ago, both Stephen and Brendan have said, and they want to be separate. They don't want a page that is them both. They don't want to always be tied together. They don't have anything to do with one another. They don't want to be connected. Brendan wants his page. Stephen wants his page, which I get, because no offense to those of you who do it, but you see people's Facebook page and Jackson Jeff, that they share a Facebook page. That is so not me. I don't want to be connected to anybody 24/7. So why should Stephen and Brendan want to always be connected? There's nothing wrong with them wanting their own pages. So Stephen Avery Project focuses on Stephen. I will share information about Brendan, but our main focus is Stephen. It's Stephen Avery Project. Where was I before I went down? That little squirrel. Where was I going? Oh, so I made that post, and I mean, within the hour, Carla then makes a post saying it's a lie, that Alan didn't pay for anything, blah, 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 So then Stephen talked to somebody on the phone and had them record a message coming from his own mouth, and they sent it to me. This is the same person who sent the message about Dolores's passing and asked me to post it on Stephen Avery Project. So I did. Stephen, in his own words, saying he does not want any money going to his family, and that Alan has already covered the costs of Dolores's death. Jen, there is a page that I am an admin for Brendan, but I haven't done anything with that in a long time. It's called Free Brendan. Pretty much since I got that, when I took over Stephen Avery Project from Curtis, I really neglected Free Brendan, but I don't own the Free Brendan page. Injustice Anywhere is who runs it. And they just had me be the admin of it. So I used to have a page for Brendan, and then I unpublished it at some point because of the bad blood with Barb, and then Barb has made it so Brendan wants nothing to do with me either, and I'm like, all right, I'm just not going to touch this. So that's why I share stuff about Brendan on Stephen Avery Project, even though Stephen would prefer that I only post about him. So we post that the video of the audio of the phone call with Stephen. And now since then, holy smurf, the posts that Earl has made, and Kayla and Carla, Danielle, Carla's daughter, it's Earl and Kayla both are saying Stephen is guilty. And Kayla is claiming the 2 years Stephen was out of prison, he raped a whole bunch of women, and everybody's too scared to come forward. But as somebody pointed out in gossip, but he's been in prison for all these years now, and they still don't come forward. Kayla, who lied about Brendan, Kayla, who files harassment charges against Stephen, who's already in prison and is going through so much. Kayla's going to say these things about Stephen. Earl, who hid under clothes. I mean, and he's quite a big beast. That's got to be a lot of clothes for him. Bryce is running out of popcorn. A lot of clothes for him to hide under when the police were coming to talk to him that day. Um, Earl, who has beat his wife. Earl, who was prosecuted for putting a video camera in his bathroom so he could watch his daughters and their friends change into bathing suits. These are the people who are going to talk about Stephen. Who? What do you got? What's your proof on anything? Or are they going to use Marie? Marie Avery is Earl's former stepdaughter. Um, or Marie LaFlash, that would be her name, right? Um, so Marie is half sisters with Brittany and Kayla. No blood relation to Stephen. She and Stephen, when she was 18, had sex. Marie wanted to and still continued contact with Stephen after that. So, um, how does that compare to what Earl has done? That we know that Earl has done. What else is there? Now, Earl today makes some post trying to say that Stephen was acting very weird that day that Teresa Halbach was there. When did Earl see Stephen that day? I haven't seen that in the timeline. Stephen left work early so he would be able to meet Teresa that day to take pictures of Barb's vehicle. Earl was riding around in a golf cart with Robert Fabian. Then Stephen is on the phone with Jody. Um, Brendan is there. When was he with Earl that day? For Earl to be able to say now that Stephen was acting weird that day. Carla has been saying such horrible things about Stephen today, saying that, oh, he threatens the family, threatens to take the business. Earl is saying these things too. Oh, yeah, you bet your ass Stephen says things to them at times because nobody cares about that salvage yard except for Stephen. Alan hasn't run the salvage yard in a long, long time. Alan doesn't own the salvage yard. Chuck does. Earl works part time when he feels like it, when he's not playing with all of his toys. His yellow Charger, whatever the hell it is. And their boats and jet skis and golf carts and four wheelers. And, we've got our home here and we've got our home in Crivets. And, Stephen's sitting in prison. So Stephen is the one that cares about that salvage yard. Stephen, back when I used to talk to him, would say when he gets out and he leaves Wisconsin, he would like to take the salvage yard with him to wherever he went to still run a salvage yard. Chuck wants to retire. He doesn't care. Earl just wants to smurf off. Oh, he's threatened to take the business down. So, meanwhile, this family has been making money and friends from Stephen and Brendan's names. They had their little party on Saturday that they didn't even let all the supporters attend their party. These people that came from around the country, if they weren't part of their little clicky click, they didn't get the invite, even though they traveled how far. You'd have none of this if not for Stephen and Brendan. They sit in prison. And what do you do for Stephen? You don't even let him know his mother is going to die so he can say goodbye to her. And now you're saying, oh, there's expenses when there's not. Alan's not hurting for money. Chuck's not. Earl's not. I was told today if they're so hard up for money and the salvage yard does such poor business, why did they just spend $180,000 on new equipment for the salvage yard? Salvage yard that's going under wouldn't need to buy all this new equipment, would it? For what? If you got no business happening because it's Stephen. $180,000. They could spend that. Yes, I get it. We had it here on Stephen Avery Project and here in Gossip. When people hear that somebody passes away, their first instinct is, I want to send flowers. So I had said, due to that, if anybody wanted to do something like that, don't. Instead, put money in Stephen's commissary or give it to Kathleen Zellner for his legal defense. The thing I've advised people for years to do if you were going, hi, sexy girlfriend. Um, if you wanted to throw money at this situation, that is the best way to do it. What do flowers do? Especially when there's no service. It's just a private family service. Okay, it's not a big family. It's not what? So how much is that going to cost for the family to go to dinner? You're supposed to pay for the family to go to dinner? What would Dolores want? Dolores would want to make sure that Stephen is looked after. So I said to put money in Stephen's commissary or to send it to Kathleen Zellner. Carla today is saying Stephen just makes everything about Stephen. Stephen's just mad because the money's not going to him. Stephen didn't say anything about the money going to him. I had said that before I got the whole thing from Steve. I said it from jump. before there was known what service anything was. Because this family, after everything we've gone through over all these years, that somehow money was going to be brought into for GoFundMe. All of them do these GoFundMe or PayPals. Even Sandy, my basement flooded. Can supporters give me money for my basement? What? Just because you know Steven, people shouldn't pay for your basement. But that's what they all do. So I was immediately, no Red Lobster. I was immediately saying no. Okay. So so don't blame that on Steven either. So you're blaming Kathleen Zellner for the other thing that no, she's just now putting out the facts because I've already put something out there. So she's making a known fact. Um and you blame Steven for this when I had already put it out there because I'm jumping ahead of it, just like I've said. I looked right at the freaking camera yesterday when I was on Stephen Avery Project because I know Barb has sold pictures to TMZ in the past. And if they sell a picture of Dolores in a casket or whatever to TMZ, I will lose my freaking mind. And it's not saying the family's doing that, but I can't put it past them after everything they've done. Don't blame that on Steven either. I said that. Better not sell a picture of Dolores to TMZ. You're commenting, Mandy. I just saw it. Um, all Steven wanted people to know is that Alan paid for that a long time ago, and people do not need to give his family money. Steven has a right to be upset with his family. They kept his mother from him and then didn't give him the common decency to tell him that his mother was going to be dying that week and to give him a chance to say goodbye. Stripped it all away from him. The only person who's always there for him. This is the family. I'm not going to pull it out, but I do have it right here. I have Steven's visitor log showing that none of these freaking people visited Steven until Making a Murderer came out. Christmas Eve. Now all of a sudden they'll go visit him. Because Making a Murderer is a big hit. They abandon him. Who cares? Steven's gone. Good. Because that's what I had been told by them when I first time I went to Manitowoc and I was with the family. I was told they were happy Steven went back in prison because he was such a jerk to them and they just wanted him gone. And why was he a jerk to them? Because when he was taken away the first time for 18 years, they let him rot that time. Don't blame him for a second if he treated his family like dog Smurf, the ones that abandoned him. Only Dolores and Alan stayed by Stephen all those 18 years. But now, when Making a Murderer becomes this big hit, here they are. Oh, yeah, let's have these parties and let's do these GoFundMe's and these PayPals. And we need a support group for our family. Meanwhile, the family won't allow anybody to talk about where all the evidence points to Bobby Dassey, with an assist by Scott Toddock. Scott Toddock was at the rally, or the party after the rally. Yay, let's celebrate Scott Toddock. Brendan and Steven sit in prison. But they're with alleged supporters with Scott Toddock. How is that a support group for Stephen and Brendan. And now today, they're making all these heinous posts about Stephen. Why? Because of money. They don't like that Stephen is putting out there not to give them money. Carla makes these posts of donate or not, we don't care. Our family will rally around like they always do. So why are you so upset that Stephen says don't give you money if you don't care if people donate or not? Stephen has every right to be upset with you all. Time and time again, you have screwed that man over. Stephen has suffered enough, and now he's lost his mother. His case is at a standstill. For how long now have we been waiting on that? His dad hasn't been in the best of health for however long, and he's older, and how many times when people have been married for so long like they have, that when one passes away, the other one passes away not long after. So time is of the essence right now for Stephen to get him out so he can be with his dad. But instead of having sympathy or empathy for Stephen, Carla and Earl and Kayla and Danielle are lashing out at Stephen. It is absolutely disgusting to me. They don't have to like Stephen. Nobody has to like Stephen. You don't have to like him, but you can have empathy for him and sympathize for what has happened to this man in his life and what has been done to him this last year. Also, not only are you keeping him away from being able to talk to his mother, but we were in a global pandemic, so he wasn't able to have visitors. Nobody. So he can't get in person visits, and he can't even talk on the phone to his mother. Whether or not she's cognizant of Stephen or her surroundings, I'm sure it would have comforted Stephen to just be able to say things and hear her voice. Carrie asking, do I think Stephen will let me visit him? I visited him once upon a time until he got upset with me this last time. If Stephen wants me to visit him, I would visit him. Stephen doesn't want me to visit, I don't visit. So whatever Stephen wants, Stephen gets. I just I'm so appalled at what this family continually does to Stephen. And all these posts today, it's I I mean, for a while it was so hard for me to even keep up, because so many people were sending me these screenshots, that I'm then funneling through all these different messages, of people. And thank you again to everybody who sends them, because I do know Stephen wants to see them all. It it just makes me sick. Stephen is angry and has every right to be angry at what his family has done. Stephen has a right to call out their lies. When they say if people want to give money towards whatever she's going to do or they're going to do, when he knows Ellen's paid for it already, which many people do, that they make those preparations so it's not on anybody else. Dolores is Alan's wife. He's not going to take care of his wife? And why should it be up to everybody else to take care of that? And if Carl is going to say, well, we don't care if people donate or not, people want to, which I understand because, like I said, both here in Gossip and on Stephen Avery Project, people were saying, how can I send flowers? How can blah, blah, blah? You can say no. No, thank you. We got this. We don't need to take money from you all who um the people don't necessarily have the money to give, but they have good hearts and want to do this. So they're going to scrape together something to send to them. You can say no, it's okay. It's covered. Thank you very much. I told people today on Stephen Avery Project, um, I want everybody to send Stephen a card or a letter. Send him support. He needs it. You don't have to send him money. But I will forever stand by if somebody is saying, I just can't feel good about this whole situation unless I buy something, then put it in his commissary. The money that goes into his commissary, Stephen can do whatever he wants with it. He can give money to Ellen. He was giving money to Dolores. Let me look at this real quick because this is from a moderator. Okay, so the person messaged me saying Stephen is about to call that person. He just got off the phone with Barb. So I guess we will find out what happened there. Don't know when I'll find out what happened there. Thank you, Christopher, for sending that. Um you don't have to give Stephen money, but you do have to send him a card. You do need to send him a letter. I sent one on Friday. I could even read it to you because I sent it to Christopher for him to read, so I have pictures of it. Um, but I did mail off a letter to Stephen on Friday, even though he doesn't speak to me. But I still wanted him to know that I support him and I'm so sorry for what he's going through. And I know how much he loved his mom. And the, this is just beyond. I and seeing those pictures of Stephen on Friday, that's not Stephen. Oh, he looks horrible. And I was told today that Stephen doesn't leave his cell. He doesn't go to chow. He doesn't go outside for rec. He's just sitting in his cell. And so that's why he's starting to look so pale. And then obviously we saw his he looks like he's got two black eyes. um this torment that this man's been going through, and that he's lost his mother and couldn't say goodbye. And the first thing his family does is starts telling people how to give them money. But then they want to turn around and try and point the fingers and say, oh, Steven's just mad because it's about Dolores and not about him, and the money's not going to him. How dare you? I'm the one that said where to send money if you wanted to put it in his commissary. Steven didn't ask for that. I didn't talk to Steven. Nobody had told me anything on that. I said that, not Steven. Right, Sand? That's another thing that's so upsetting, that Steven's mother died the day before his birthday. So now, every year for Steven's birthday, it's there. Steven turned 59 on Friday. He was first taken into custody when he was 22. Then he got that little 2 years that he was out. Thought life was grand. Got a girlfriend. Has this lawsuit going on. And then Manitowoc gets him again. Destroys his life that he had just been rebuilding. Because the first time they took him, he lost his wife, lost his children, and of course his freedom. Now this time, loses his girlfriend. I know what we all think about Jody at this point. But again, who Steven loves and wants to be with is his business. Loses his girlfriend. And now he's lost his mother. All for what? Because once upon a time, Sandy Morris was upset with Steven. Hold on. Christopher just sent me something else. Wow. I don't know if I should say that. Wow, wow, wow. Christopher, can you respond to that message? You know the stuff that, because it also says Stephen wants to know what the family is saying today. So since I'm doing this live, Christopher, can you kind of give them the cliff notes of what's been happening today? And I don't know if I should say that second paragraph and let anybody know what that is, but that's wow. Sorry. I I can't. Sam says just figured out what Smurf means. I try to replace any swear word that I'm going to say with the word Smurf because Facebook removes stuff that's got bad language. Um but that person is on the phone with Steven right now. Um just because somebody is family doesn't mean they have your best interests at heart. And I know there are so many people who follow this case and everybody, I feel for the Avery family. Do not feel for the Avery family. Feel for Alan and Dolores, and then Kim Ducat. Those are the only ones who stand above the fray. These are the people that Stephen isn't going after his family. I believe Stephen even said it in Making a Murderer, maybe part two. Um, he goes where the evidence takes him. The evidence is all pointing at Bobby with a assist by Scott Toddock. And now there's this other person that the witness who saw Bobby pushing the RAV4 onto the property, that there was that older person with him that does not match um, Scott. Who is Kim Ducat? Kim is Stephen's cousin, who you see in Making a Murder, both parts, one and two. She loves Stephen. And Kim is who we did the rally for last summer, because the family has never been very welcoming to Kim, because Kim stands with Stephen 100%, and they do not. Kim is lovely. Last year, I went to her home. We did a live. I can't remember if we did it on Stephen Avery Project or in here. Um, Kim is she's lovely and she loves Stephen, and the family had been keeping Kim and Stephen apart, and now I know that, and Michelle, I'm just about to say that, so jinx. Stephen and Kim do talk now. So I am so happy for that. And I think it's something, because I also wrote to Stephen back when Kayla um, tried to get the restraining order against him. So I wrote to him at that time, letting him know that I felt upset and about it and support him. And I believe I told him at that time that he should be talking to Kim. And I state this all the time, that Kim is the one, the family that supports Stephen, and Kim doesn't want any of this crap. She's not going to be the family spokesperson that Carla named herself. Nobody asked her to be the family spokesperson. She was happy to be in the spotlight. Nobody else wanted to do that. Kim is the one who will always look out for Stephen. Family tells Stephen lies about her. Family didn't treat her well. But who cares? Who cares that the family, what, she doesn't need them. And she has her own lovely family. So that was one of the great things that have come out of the last few days, was that I learned that Kim is now speaking regularly with Stephen. I'm so happy about that. Um, where is my relationship with Stephen? I I don't know. I know he doesn't like me. Maybe I'll talk to him at some point. Maybe I won't. It won't change how I am here. I will admit, one thing that I regret. Yikes. Christopher says it's okay to release that info, Steven says. Christopher's typing again. I'm always nervous about that stuff. I'm going to wait until Christopher says again. That scares me. Okay, but Steven's saying he wants it out, so I'm gonna I'm gonna tell you what Steven says. I'm just gonna read it as it's written. Ready? He said they are all dirty, meaning his family. They crushed the evidence in Bobby's truck when there was nothing wrong with it. That's kind of major. I believe it. All right, Christopher, let him know. I just put it out there. Um, I 100% believe it. But stuff like that just makes me nervous because there's things that, I don't like to say things without passing it through because there's been plenty of times in the past that I go through Kathleen Zellner first because I don't want to say or do anything to that would harm Stephen's case. But here, what Stephen is saying is that there are other family members knowing what's going on and that they crushed the evidence in Bobby's truck. Which, interesting. What I was told by Carla's husband, Stacy, whom I have nothing against Stacy. I like Stacy. And I don't care if Stacy no longer likes me. Don't care. I really like Carla's husband and think he's a good guy. When I was up there and we were walking in the salvage yard, he told me, because he wasn't saying Stephen was guilty, he was just saying he didn't like Stephen. Hold on, Christopher just sent me something else. Close this off. They stopped all contact between him and his mama because they didn't want the truth out. Yikes. Stacy said the way you get rid of evidence is you put it in a car and you crush it. It comes that black. And then you take that black and you put it in another car and you crush that and nobody would ever find it. That's what he told me back in 2016. And so now here is Stephen saying that they got rid of the evidence in Bobby's blazer that they crushed. Yikes. Christopher just sent another. Stephen says that they didn't say he was acting strange in the police statements, so that would be perjury. Stephen shouldn't have to be fighting with his family. But his family are all in on whatever happened to Teresa Halbach that Stephen is sitting in prison for. Deanna, the whole Crivets trip is something that I've always mentioned too. If Stephen was guilty, why would he go to Crivets when there's evidence still around that need cleaning up? Makes no sense. Who didn't go to Crivets? Earl, Scott, Bobby. Earl was the one that let the people come search the salvage yard without a warrant. Rest were in Crivets. Why go to Crivets when you've got a car and blood and bones? Cherry, Cherry, the Christopher just sent another picture. Thing I've always said is the only thing I can be absolutely sure of is that Stephen and Brendan are innocent. If you tell me if something came out saying that Earl was a part of this with Bobby, yep, I'd believe it. Let's see, what does Christopher send now? And he says all the funeral costs are all covered and taken care of. He says he wants to protect his supporters from getting scammed. Thank you, Christopher, for doing this too. Oh, here's another one. Hold on. Okay, so Christopher said to the person, is there anything else he wants his supporters to know before we wrap up this live? And the response was, he says he loves them and be careful. And thank you for all your good wishes and support. Thank you, Jax. Earl is the brother that hid underneath the clothes. Natalie, Stephen is saying that the family are in on the cover up, that they put evidence in Bobby's blazer and then crushed it to get rid of it. Stephen is innocent. I know there's people that question Brendan and say, well, maybe Brendan knew Bobby did it and he's covering for Bobby. I can't believe it for a second. Brendan is a sweet kid, and I do not think that Brendan would be able to live with himself if he knew anybody did this, whether or not it's Stephen or his brother. It would eat that kid alive. That kid can't harm a flea, and he would know. There's no way Brendan knows anything. Brendan is just as innocent as Stephen. Um, Paula says, didn't the dogs hit on the Crusher and in the golf cart? Mm-hmm. That Earl and Robert Fabian were driving in. Yes. Yes, the dogs did. So, um, Brendan is just as innocent as Stephen. Um, I just have no avenue to Brendan at all because his mother has such a tight leash on him. You know, just as much as Stephen loved Dolores, Brendan loves Barb. And so what Barb says goes. But I have heard that Barb is telling people not to tell Brendan about Dolores. Why would you do that? Why would you not tell Brendan about Dolores? He has a TV. I'm sure it's on the news in that area. And I am sure there's going to be supporters who send him cards, sympathy cards. Now, Brendan and his grandmother did not have a good relationship. didn't have really any contact. There's hard feelings there due to the manipulation of Barb and Brendan's coerced confession that both Alan and Dolores were upset about, that Brendan should have just kept his mouth shut. We all get it. Brendan's IQ is no match, but you have to remember, Alan and Dolores also don't have the highest of IQs. Most of the family are on that level. Stephen is on that level. Stephen's IQ is actually lower than Brendan's. So Brendan isn't going to be as affected as Stephen was on Dolores's passing. They do not have that kind of relationship. But Brendan absolutely has the right to know his grandmother has passed away. Don't hide that from him, and people are going to tell him. It should be coming from his family. His mother should have driven to that prison the next day if visitation is allowed. I do not know what the rules are for visitation in Wisconsin right now, because here in Illinois, for me to go visit Melissa, I have to sign up for a visitation at least 7 days in advance. And then I have to sign up for a shift. So, like, I am next going to visit Melissa on July 21st. From my appointment's 11:45 to 1:45 because they're only allowing 2-hour visits right now. I just schedule that now. So I don't know if you can just go the next day. But as soon as I was able to, I would be going and telling him in person. Or if you can't get there, and the quickest way you could do it is a video visit, if those are available for Brendan, I would be doing a video visit. Keeping it from him is, there's no reason for that. The call with Barb already happened, Bryce. I don't know what happened on that call. I have not been informed of what happened on that. Um, if anybody ever has a question on anything about this case, or me, because I know there's so much stuff that they put out there about me, and people who come in here and MAM gossip, you could be new and have heard whatever, fire away. You can private message me. Also, understand there's people that are in this group that are in Carla's groups, and you don't want to get caught because, I mean, they don't just remove you from their groups. There's been plenty of people, I've been sent the screenshots over the years, that they will private message people for being members in this group and attack them and harass them. So I get it. Look what happened to Curtis Bussey, that is no longer running Stephen Avery Project. So I get it if you don't want to be caught. I don't care what groups you're in. I don't understand why anybody would be in any group that Carla has, unless you're there just because curiosity, you want to see what's going on there. I understand that. Um, I don't care, be in whatever groups, as long as I don't find out that you're taking screenshots from here and posting there and talking crap about the people in these groups. That's the only way you're going to get booted. Because it turns out you're just not a good person and just a spy. So feel free if you don't want to say something publicly and you want to message me. Fire away. If I am able to answer it, I will. The one thing that I hid, that I was not an open book about, and it's because I was asked to, is when I took over Stephen Avery Project from Curtis Bussey, he asked me to pay him something. And Curtis didn't want anybody to know because of the accusations of, see, you made money off of Stephen's name, blah, blah, blah. So me and the moderators from Stephen Avery Project at that time pooled together the money and paid him. It was a couple $100. Curtis had gone on one last visit with Stephen to tell him, this is our last visit and that I am the person that is taking over Stephen Avery Project. He gave him my contact information. The first time Stephen called me, first thing I told him is, I'm not looking to date you. I know there's people that flirt with him and whatever, and I was putting that out from the get-go. I'm not that bitch. I'm not looking for that. So let him know that. And I told him I paid Curtis and how much it was. I felt Stephen had the right to know. At some point, I believe Stephen told Carla. And Carla has tried to use that against me because I wasn't public with it that I paid for Stephen Avery Project for, I think, the first year that we took it over. But Curtis asked me not to, and these people had caused him a whole lot of crap. That's why. And I don't understand how they think that puts me in a bad light because that's me putting money out, not taking money in. And it wasn't even all my money. Like I said, some of the moderators from Stephen Avery Project pitched in for it. Just like on one of the visits when I went to go visit Dolores, they gave me money to give to Dolores that I gave her in cash. We have some good moderators here. They were moderators of Stephen Avery Project with Curtis. So they were here before I was. It's when Curtis said he was done, they were the ones that said the best person to take it over is me. So they facilitated that. Because at that time I was just Free Brendan. I was running the Free Brendan Facebook page. So that is the only thing that I hid. And eventually I talked about it too, going, okay, it's been a couple years now since all of that. And Carla's trying to use this against me. So, yep, I did. And what? Um, and then the other thing that I did that I will, or not the other thing that I did, the thing that I did that I will admit was bad is when Steven, um, I don't know if cut me off is the way I should word it, but when Steven was no longer talking to me this last time, because he had done it once before due to stuff that Sandy Greenman and her friends, Tracy Strunzi and Angie Schumann, or whatever her name is, had said to him. Um, and, so we had already gone one round of a couple months that Steven didn't talk to me. And when he came back around, that all of a sudden he called me out of the blue, and I'm like, look, these people all lied to you about stuff, and so if you ever question anything anybody's ever telling you about, if they're telling you stuff about me, please come to me and let me talk to you about it. And so when he cut me off this last time, and then Sandy Greenman's got this post saying that, that just, Stephen is no longer talking to her and removed her from his list because I was talking crap about his mother. I said here in gossip, I was pissed off and maybe I should sell what I know about um, stuff that Stephen has told me that hasn't been public. I was angry. That was a nasty thing for me to say. I didn't do it, but I said it, and I was an asshole. 100% admit that. When I would visit and talk with Stephen, he would tell me things all the time, and I would keep it to myself. Um, because I don't know what should be out there. Like I said, I'm so nervous about that stuff. I want to protect as much as I can. But I'm also going to lash out like I do to the family all the freaking time. So, um that's why I say to y'all, you have a question of anything, fire away at me at any time. And if I am able to tell you, I will. At this point, I don't, there's nothing for me to hide other than some stuff that I know about the case that's not out there that I won't tell. Um, but bottom line, I am here because I believe in Stephen's innocence. Whether or not Stephen talks to me, I am going to support his innocence. And I'm going to protect him the best I can. Natalie says, I literally could have written a book. I actually have. I do have a book that I started writing a couple of years ago. And eventually I am going to write the whole book and it is going to come out. If anybody knows of a book publisher, um, I'm going to write a book of my experiences on this case because I have a side to all of this that nobody else can tell, can share, of all that I have been through, from going when I was at Barb's house and with Barb and Scott, and being in Steven's trailer, and just, it's a lot. And I mean, I've talked about it all with you guys over the years. Um, but I do have a book I started writing. I can't remember how many pages I have a title for it. Every, yeah. Um, and it'll come out at some point. But see, another thing that I could have taken advantage of at some point, and I haven't done it. I could have jumped on that. Other people have written books about Stephen who claim to be the greatest supporters of him. Stephen doesn't get a dime from that. Lawyers have written books about Stephen. Don't give him a dime. Go on book tours. Cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. Are they giving Stephen a percentage? No. Oh, Stephen's just making it all about him. Because it is. This is Stephen's life that we're all living in. We're all here because of what is happening in Stephen's life. Bryce. Bryce never fails to freaking crack me up. uh, all right. I'm going to call this to a close. I do not know when I will be going live again. Something I discussed on the live I did earlier today on Stephen Avery Project is originally we had our rally scheduled that was going to be the last Saturday of this month. And then a couple weeks ago, I canceled it. I canceled it because, well, first of all, also I had a whole lot of stuff that's going on in my life. I just recently got married. Things are happening. Um, but also back when Kayla was trying to get the restraining order, and I had sent a letter to Stephen. I told him we were going to be doing this rally, and I wanted his yay or nay. And I know, Court, if you're still watching this, Courtney, I know Courtney is all about, she's going to show you her support whether you like it or not. You know, Courtney is just all about, she wants to scream from the mountaintops the support for the guys. And so let's do it, let's do it. Um but I really was also, since Carla had changed her rally to be in July. Carla's rally's always been in June. And now she moved it to the same month that ours was, that we had scheduled way in advance. Thank you, Jen. Um, and Steven doesn't like me and isn't speaking to me. And last year's rally, um, I had those masks that are still here somewhere, the ones that I have left over, that we had sold those masks, and I had sold some shirts, and that I had put $100 in Steven's commissary for. Never heard back from him on that. And so I wanted to know if he was okay with us doing this rally. And I didn't hear from him. So with everything I have going on in my life, and also Lollapalooza is happening that weekend here in Chicago, and my favorite band is playing, the Foo Fighters. And I have seen the Foo Fighters every time they've come here since they've been out. Uh, um, so I have my ticket to Foo Fighters on the Sunday too, and so I'm making it all about me. Me. Got married, Foo Fighters. Um, so I'm like, all right, I'm canceling it. And I didn't hear from Steven. So now I'm being told um, that Stephen may want a rally. Ooh, crap, Christopher, I should have had you say that to pass on to Stephen to ask if a rally or not. Um, and I was told this another person was going to be talking to Stephen this week and would ask him about it and let me know if Stephen wants a rally. Not saying it would necessarily be the Saturday. We had yep, and Bryce was going to come to the rally, and then Bryce wasn't able to come. So that really was the final nail in it, Bryce. You're right. Um um so if Steven wants us to organize something to be at Waupun, we'll come live and we'll talk about it. That's a good thought, Jillian, when the weather's a little cooler. Well, another thing that was happening with this rally, and it was Christopher who was doing all this organizing for it. First of all, somebody was calling around to all the hotels and trying to sabotage um, for anybody to stay there due to this event. That was first. And then second, I guess there's some kind of, because this is right by the water, by the lake, and so there's some kind of like air and water show going on that weekend in the area. So a lot of the hotels were booked up, and there, so it's just, it was turning out more and more that that weekend is just going to be a mess. So then we had talked about maybe doing something just online. And then what we settled on is, okay, we'll do some live thing on this past Friday for Steven's birthday. And now this all happened. Oh, August 20th, Dolores' birthday. Oh, excellent idea, Bryce. I'll definitely mention that to whomever. Um, So, but Kim, it's in Steven's hands, So if Steven tells us to do a rally at Waupun, we will do it. Our rally is different than Carla's. Our rally is, we go to the prison, we hold our signs. It's Oh, okay. Thanks, Billy Joe. Um, so and everybody's included. So if we were to do something afterwards or whatever, anybody who comes to the rally can be a part of that. We had fun last year. We had, it was just like a dozen of us that were there last year. We're in the heat of COVID at that time. It was a good time with real supporters, and Kim Ducat was there. Um, so I'm waiting to hear from Stephen on that. And his wish is our command, or his command, his wishes are, is that your wish is my command? You know what I'm saying. So we'll do a live when we know anything about that. And any other news that pops up. We bring it to you as soon as we get it. Continue to share whatever you come across that you want here in gossip. Movie night. Yep. Um, um, what was I gonna say now? I'm so old. I just turned 50. My birthday is July 3rd, and I just turned 50, and I'm old. Um, what was I saying? I don't know. Oh, Matt came in late. What's the bombshell? You're gonna have to rewatch because I've been on here I don't know how long already. Um, and I gotta go and not gonna go through all this all over again. Um, ooh, yeah, Jillian, you guys can start a thread on that. But yeah, feel free to. Oh, this is where I was gonna go. Feel free to share whatever you want here. This group is MAM Gossip. You can discuss anything in here. Stephen Avery Project is where we try to keep it just about the case, not this bullshit that's all around it. So, and I know some people get confused by that. So, MAM Gossip, you can talk about all this bullshit in here. But something that I have instructed the moderators to delete, um, if you share a screenshot of Carla's post where it lists the email address that they're using for that stupid PayPal and the address, I mean, both of these, you can Google these things anyway, but it's like, I'm just not going to promote where Carla is trying to have people send money. So you're not in trouble that you posted it or whatever and we've deleted it. I just want you all to know, I'm not gonna allow that to be there. And if you see it and we haven't deleted it, do a report to the moderator or whatever, so we can come in and get rid of that. If you want to post that, just edit that part out, cut it out, because we don't want anybody sending money to the Avery family. Bottom line. And neither does Stephen. And now Christopher just sent me another. Okay, that one not sharing. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna go and I'll read all these messages and stuff that I've been getting while we've been on here. Thank you all, everybody, for being here, for supporting Stephen. Um, and as soon as I know anything else, we'll bring it to you. All right. So 6:17 p.m. here in Chicagoland. So I am going to figure out my dinner. And then tomorrow, one more thing, squirrel reminding me, because and I did this in the other day. Um, I have to take Paul Kaluzinski. He's got a meeting in Chicago tomorrow, and he doesn't want to drive to Chicago. And I took him last week, and he's got to go back tomorrow, so I have to pick up Paul. Paul Kaluzinski is Melissa Kaluzinski's father. Melissa is in prison for a murder she didn't commit. Kathleen Zellner is her attorney. I love Melissa to death. Um, you see, I have tattoos. Melissa is likes to draw, and she loves butterflies, and I kind of have butterflies on me in various places tattooed on me. And so at one point she had asked me for a book on butterflies, and so I sent that to her a couple years ago. And then I've told her forever I've got this space left on my arm. And I'm like, if you, and monarch is her favorite butterfly. And so I'm like, if you draw me a butterfly, I will get it tattooed in this space. So, and it actually showed up on my birthday that I got a birthday card from Melissa. And inside the card, um, she included not one, but three drawings of butterflies. So I shared it on Stephen Avery Project or whenever I did a live at some point. But let me share it with you all again. So there's one. So this is Melissa drew this. So there's that one. And there's this one. And now I'll show you this one, and then I have to explain it. It's harder to see because it's okay. See it? And so Melissa says she's got written on the bottom. So I really tried with this one. It's supposed to be more white where blue is at, but I did my best. This is a Melissa Blues butterfly. So a butterfly that's named Melissa. So I'm going to try, I think, and get all three of these tattooed in this space. But I have had the same tattoo artist for like the last 10 years. And I messaged him and asked him what appointments does he have open, and he's got an apprentice who's doing his scheduling, so he's like, reach out to my apprentice. And so then I reached out to the apprentice, and they told me his first open date is December 6th. And it's like, I don't want to wait till December 6th. So there's a tattoo convention next weekend in Chicago. So I think Jeff and I are going to go to the convention, and I'm going to look at all the different artists there and see if I can find a decent artist. Doesn't mean I'm getting the tattoo at the convention, but at least I'll find an artist and maybe be able to get an appointment so I can get these tattoos done. Which I'm not going to, this part really hurts. I know this part really hurts because, I mean, just feel your own arm. This part of your arm isn't as sensitive as this part of your arm. And then also, the older you get, the worse your skin is. Oh, I'm going to hate it. Really, yeah. But I told Melissa like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. So that'll be happening. And whenever that happens, I'll let you all know too. So, all right, now squirrel is gone. I'm officially out. Closing with thank you, everybody. We'll talk soon. Investigation continues. Bobby Dassey's the killer.